John's gospel puts the hook into us with some very enticing bait. Having Jesus say, "Whoever comes to me will never hunger, whoever believes in me will never thirst," and to go just a step further, if you really believe in me, you're going to have everlasting life. This is fantastic news. Almost too good to be true. What's the catch? Well, the catch is, stated right in the claim, you have to believe in Jesus. Okay, what exactly does that mean? Jesus is not all that clear. He's pretty vague. And for the fact that we've been fighting over what that means for the last 2,000 years is indicative of just how subjective faith and belief is. There's over 30,000 different flavors of Christianity in the world today, and that's because we all subscribe to a different set of circumstances that we attribute to Christ, different things that we believe. And I'm not sure that that's exactly what Jesus intends, that we have so much subjectivity. Even if we believe that you have to believe in some set of rules and regulations or aspects of Christ in order for us to achieve this eternal life, really kind of seems like a setup. Why would something so important as eternal life be dependent upon something that is so sketchy, so subjective, so elusive? Maybe it doesn't work that way. Maybe belief is something more than what we typically think. We often think that faith is following through or acting on something without a rational reason to do so, believing in something without hard evidence. And as our culture, we tend to think of belief as something that the weak-minded or the immature do. You believe in Santa Claus until a point. You let go of the Easter Bunny beyond a certain point. Same with the Tooth Fairy. And with the exception of a few people that want to believe that a groundhog can predict your forecast of your weather, for the most part, we tend to think what hard facts prove is the only thing that exists, and anything beyond that is mindless speculation. So we struggle with this concept of believing. And even if we do want to believe, it's hard to know what to believe in. So what is Jesus saying that we must believe in him in order for us to have eternal life? Perhaps looking back at it from another perspective will help. If we, instead of thinking of belief as subscribing to a set of theological assumptions about who Jesus is as a Son of God and what that means in the cosmic reality of things and what redemption is and how it occurs and what the afterlife may or may not be like and what it takes to get there, that all goes into the divisions of 30,000 flavors of Christianity. But if instead we pay attention to the gospel message and we hear it as a way of life, not a theological assumption, not even a philosophy, but something that we live by, then it's something a little bit different. Supposing that we as Christians start to understand the message from an intuitive level. We start off very well with hopefully our closest relationships with our family. We learn what unconditional love is from good parents. When we start to have children of our own, start to understand what it means to sacrifice for the sake of another person. And initially we may do so because we don't know why, or they might be this bundle of joy that we'll invest our entire lives in and sacrifice our livelihood and our blood, sweat, and tears to bring this new life into fruition. But we might even extend it further to say we believe in something that is for the betterment of our community, betterment of our world, that we're willing to do things that are kind of irrational. That I believe in the process of peace as opposed to packing a gun for my self-protection. That I start to believe that maybe sacrificing for the sake of another person, even if it costs me my life, is a better world to live in than to die in an egotistical, self-centered world. That I'm willing to let go of my need for some exotic wood to allow a habitat for some species that would go extinct otherwise. When we start to embrace that more fully, we start to express our belief in something that is beyond our explanation, but at the same time may start to make us more like Christ than not. So maybe in the end, it's not so much that our belief in Jesus as a tooth fairy or a magical entity that's supposed to bring about conversion in the end, but rather we believe in Jesus because it becomes our way of life, that we start to become the Christ that raises the elevation of others. When we start to treat others with a dignity that values their value over our own life, we actually elevate them in the process. That is the transcendent process that the gospel is actually calling us to participate in. When we do that, I don't know if we're going to be hungry or thirsty or not, but that's maybe the only way that we're ever going to attain our true eternal life in God.